At the Youth for 12 anniversary program, which was in the last year, I had possibly top 3 experiences when it comes to music. We had our MC, and he was like, you know what, we're going to try something. And in the crowd, probably over 200 of us, and we had never practiced. A lot of us were strangers meeting together for the first time. But I truly felt like that day, I felt the Spirit moving. I'm usually very skeptical when people say I felt the Spirit moving, but I felt it that day. So Zianda's in the front, and he basically says to us, we're going to sing Holy, Holy, Holy. And so he starts, and we all follow. And to get 200 essentially strangers to sing in harmony like that, that's when I really saw that when you do things to the glory of God, He will finish off. You basically just start and He will finish off the work, because all of us knew our part. We knew where we had to sing. I'm not a singer, but I knew where I needed to sing. I knew the notes that I needed to catch on. And then we finished singing, the song stopped, and then for probably 5 to 10 minutes, it was just silence. No one said a thing, because I think it really tuned our minds to God. It tuned our minds to heaven. And I think a lot of us just thought to ourselves, is this what heaven will be like? And see, that is just one memory that someone has when it comes to music. There are plenty other stories about music out there.
Ah, and with that being said, welcome to Youth for 12 Live, my good people. We're back at it again, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. on the dot with Youth for 12 Live. My name is Ndo Simsan. I am your host at your host Lindo on Instagram and everywhere else where you can find me. That's my name right there. I'm even on LinkedIn. So if you want to talk business, you can catch me there on LinkedIn. Anyways, we've got a very exciting and great show in store for you today. Yeah, we've got a special guest, CJ Moyo, coming to talk to us about the new upcoming documentary Rising Voices. I'm sure you guys are wondering, what is that all about? Well, CJ will be coming here to tell us all about that. And as you heard from the introduction, the video, it's such a moving thing, and a moving experience that was talking about the power of music. And just to also talk about that experience for a bit, um I we were planning the event. We planned the event and everything. I wasn't in the room when all of that took place. I was walking past when I heard the music, and it's fine. No, you know what? Let me save this for when CJ gets here, so that I can talk to him all about this. Let me not get carried away right now. But we've got a great show waiting for you guys. Unfortunately, Uzianda has some load shedding today, so she won't be joining me. Um, and I guess I have to write this thing solo, and it's always very daunting when I have to do this thing solo. Because I don't know where to start. So Zianda is the person I get to like talk to and everything, and get to bounce off. Now I have to just keep on like speaking and stuff. Like, no, I don't like that. I mean, this show is supposed to be conversational. But anyways, if you guys are interested in being part of the show in any way, if you got something to showcase, particularly any ministry projects or any endeavors, initiatives, programs, events, that you guys would like to just share with our audience, feel free to hit us up. You can hit us up at on our Twitter, no, not on our Twitter, on our Instagram. Yes, down there on our Instagram at youth4tough_ZA, and also at youth4tough_ZA on Threads. We're on Threads now. We are also on WhatsApp. It's 068. Let me see if I remember. 468 9363. Yes, 068 468 9363. That's our WhatsApp number. I hope if you guys are looking for us, you can just hit us up there. We've got a lot of things that we've been talking about, that we've been sharing. We also have a WhatsApp channel that we recently launched, and it's really, really great. I think if you are not on the WhatsApp channel, you're missing out a lot, because we share a lot of things. And I just want to also like talk to you guys about some of those things that we, are giving you guys an opportunity to be a part of. Two things. The first one I'm very, very excited about is our Christian drama theater production. I think I have to emphasize theater, because some people hear production, then they think cameras and everything. But no, we're not there just yet. But we are doing a theater production, and it's based, the title of the play, of the production, it's 1844. 1844. I know what you guys are thinking. Maybe you can tell me, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the locals and the name 1844? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. We are doing a, what's the name? What historical piece? I don't know, but it's based on a real life story of what happened on 1844, from 1843 to 1844. The story of William Miller, the story of the Great Disappointment. And if you're an Adventist, you know very well. Maybe you've heard tales about the Great Disappointment. It is from the disappointment that the church was established. So we are excited about doing that. And if I see a comment down there, the falling of the stars. Okay, the falling of the stars. I think that was a prophecy that was shared by Ellen White. I don't know, honestly, but you guys can check it out. You guys can check it out. You can wait to see exactly what we are talking about when we talking about 1844. Now I've been doing my more research actually about what took place there, so that we can be able to share a story which is, accurate and also compelling for you guys as the audience. So make sure that if you want to be part of the production, either as someone who will be acting, in the play itself, in the production, as an actor or actress, one of the roles, or as someone who is an extra. And by extra, I mean like you, yeah, you're part of the audience, Mtampe, who William Miller's preaching to, you're running, or whatever, it's still significant. So if you are interested in that, then please, do hit us up as well. You can send a video of yourself, auditioning. Now, this video is not for us to say yes to you or no to you. It's just for us to see where can we place you in terms of the cost. So yeah, I mean, we are desperate at this point, so we'll take anyone. But the video auditions are necessary so that we can be able to place you guys accordingly, according to what your abilities are, according to what the characters need. So yeah, make sure that you do sign up to be part of our drama theater production. It's going to be a great one, and I'm looking forward to it. And then number two, I know that some of you guys have businesses. You guys are hustling and things like that. And we want to be there to support your hustle as young people, as young Christians. So if you guys are interested in maybe selling to our audience at any one of our events, the first one being, the theater production, we'll have a live show and everything. If you're interested in selling on the day, whether it's food, whether it's some merch or whatever it is, so long as it's something that we can be like, this is good to sell to our audience, hit us up as well. You can get in touch with us via email, lindo.m. Let me just write it down. I'm talking a lot and you probably won't remember any of this. You can hit me up, lindo.m at youth412 dot on microsoft.com, or what our WhatsApp number, which is 068. I hope this is the right number. I hope I'm not giving you guys the wrong number. 468-9363. Yeah, you can hit us up on any of those platforms. If you're interested in selling to our audience at any of one of our events, yeah, want to be able to help you hustle, and also obviously want to also raise some funds to support us with some of the event costs. So there will be like a small store fee, so that yeah, we are also able to thingy cover some of the costs. So if you're interested in that, or someone who would benefit from that, then please do let us know, especially for the food part. Food is such an important thing at an event. So yeah, we're definitely looking for a food vendor, and yeah, any other vendors who are available, books, whatever it is that you think might sell to our audience. And then yeah, Ogonye, I'll come to you guys next week with it. I think I've spoken a lot, and it's already been what, almost 15 minutes. It's just been me speaking. Man, I can talk. I give myself an award for talking. Thank you. I'd like to thank my parents. I'd like to thank God for giving me this mouth to speak and everything. I'd like to thank you for listening as well, to me rambling throughout this whole live. I'd like to thank Zianda for not coming and giving me this opportunity to speak throughout the live. Yeah, until next time when I collect another award. Thank you. Anyways, moving right along. I think CJ is already here, so I don't know. You can indicate, CJ, if you're ready to go on. This has been torturous enough, for the audience. So let me just. Are you good to go? I think he's good to go. All right. So I'll just. Someone asked me to forward them the link. I mean, I guess they're not subscribed to Youth for Tough Live. Otherwise, they'll 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 be notified. If you're not subscribed, subscribe today. Like, share, comment, whatever it is. I hope they're not watching this, because they probably are. But yeah, if yeah. Anyways, all right. Let me just welcome CJ on to our stage. But wait, before that, I was planning on doing this. Was planning on him coming after I show you guys this, so that you can have some context before CJ comes on the show. Oh wait, no, let me welcome him on. Let me welcome him. Okay. Wait, what? He's not ready. Okay, now he is. Okay. Welcome, CJ, two-time guest, the first and only two-time guest on Youth 412 Live. What makes you so lucky, man? What do you
Yo,
have magic or something?
apparently, apparently I'm doing that much that I have a lot of things to talk about now. So I
You
guess both of
do.
us talk a lot.
That is okay. I won't comment for you, but for me, definitely, man. And I'm feeling sorry for the viewers. I don't want to be speaking for the next few minutes. Yeah, I just wanna ask as many questions so that you can just answer me and talk for the rest of the show. But anyways, welcome. Thank you very much for coming on the show once again. I don't know if there is a need for you to introduce yourself. Is there? Do you
I
think
don't
there
know,
is?
man. I guess all the intro is I'm CJ Moyo, a child of God with a camera. That's about it.
Ooh, that was nice. Child of God with a camera, and that camera has so many stories. I'm sure that camera has so many. Um, I don't know, stories. Let me just say end with stories. Because on your Instagram, you talk about photography and some of the photos that you've taken and the stories behind them. And when I look at all of that, I'm just like, wow, I didn't realize that photography was could be like so deep and everything. So can you just tell us about the story, that is captured through a lens?
Um, I think. Oh, I thought I actually had this conversation with you, but I'm realizing I had it with someone else. And I think what reminded me of you is that it was a very good chat as well. But I was watching Peter McKinnon on YouTube, and he had this one video where he was talking about how anyone can take a good photo, but very few people can make a good photo. And what makes a good photo is story. So for me, I love snapping whatever's around me, but I think what sets I don't want to say it like this, but maybe what sets apart my work or what makes my work important to me is that I add the story behind whatever the picture was, whether it's the context of a person or wherever we were or whatever I was feeling. We shared that through the picture. So there's so many layers to each picture. It might be like the smallest person in the frame, but there's a story to that person. And I think that's what really sets apart the normal and I'm not criticizing anyone, but like an ordinary content creator and someone who wants to have meaning behind their work, because story is what about all we're about as humans from the very beginning. All we know right now is because a story was passed down along the ages. So with my work, it's something that's developed in the last few years, but story has really become a big part of what I do.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think is perhaps something that led you to wanting to tell stories, essentially to be a storyteller?
That is a very good question and one I had not thought of until right now. Um,
Mm,
I think maybe in my own life, I've been realizing that I've had somewhat of a quiet life. I haven't had a hectic life. Knock on wood, not much traumas. I've had great parents, so I don't have much that I can say, oh, my story is, I can give you a whole long story. So I see that as it's obviously a privilege, but then it also gives me freedom to sit down and hear other people's stories, and through them I find whatever therapy that maybe I would need. I find whatever lessons I may have missed out on if I went through maybe some traumas when I actually hear someone tell me what they went through. So yeah, it's just listening a lot. I think that's what
mm,
made me care so much about story, that there's so many stories out there people are living life and all we meet is like we just have a chat and it's usually very surface level, but everyone has so much more to them, and we never really give people time of day to share that story.
That is definitely true. As someone who has enjoyed doing this like podcast type of like format, I've really gotten to learn to listen to people and had grown this desire to want to know more. Like know the story behind the person and why they do what they do. And when you actually like listen, man, like it's so good to know about people's stories and
Yeah,
to try and learn about them so that you're able to find out as well the reason for certain things, why they
yeah,
do things a certain way and all that. And once you know that, it just makes you look at them and what they do with a whole different lens, of
yeah.
appreciation particularly. So
I
I
think
think I like, yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, just bouncing off of what you're saying. I think nowadays the reason why there's so many issues, so much conflict, so much judgment, is because we don't really give people like time. We never really listen to their story. And listen, might be a problematic statement, but don't get me wrong. I think like even a criminal themselves, we need to listen to their story and find
Oh
out
yeah.
why what led up to what they're doing. It won't make what they're doing right, but at least you will have context and realize that, oh, maybe this person does like those cash and transit heists because when they were a kid they kept on stealing sweets. So now in society we need to look out for little kids who are maybe stealing sweets because things can really blow up.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when you really find out to the core what the issue is, then we might be able to start solving, I don't know, a few issues, hopefully.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And perhaps on this storytelling thing, I just want to know in terms of like maybe I should leave this question for later. Should I? Let me think. Let me think. Okay. When it comes to like us, like storytelling and us as Christians telling stories. Um, I don't know how to put this. How can I put this? Storytelling and how can we use stories maybe to reach people? Um, yes, to
Mm,
reach people. Tell I don't know to give them an encounter with Christ. That's not the
mm,
question I wanted to ask, but maybe
okay.
let's just start there, perhaps. Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to where we need to go. The person I was thinking about when I said I thought I was talking to you, we reached this agreement that God Himself is a storyteller. And I think as Christians, obviously the Bible says that we are to be Christ-like, we're made in God's image. So if we realize that God Himself is a storyteller, then we too are meant to be storytellers. That the book itself is one big story from before our beginning
Mm.
until
Yeah.
after the history of the world. So you realize that God inspired so many people for one to write, and He led people's lives down a certain path so that we can relate to them. This year I've been in a journey to read the entire Bible in a year. So we went through Genesis so far and Exodus, and reading so many different
Wow.
stories has made me realize, I should actually share that link, has made me realize that there's not one character in the Bible who we can't really relate to. Because I saw myself in Moses, I saw myself in Abraham and Noah, and maybe not things that I do, but maybe things I need to do. So when we
Mm.
share story, we find like all of these common links. you realize that, oh, maybe this person struggled with this thing, or when they went down this path, things stopped working out. And it makes you realize that your story is not, in a sense, unique, or you're not alone in your struggles. You know,
Mm.
someone else has gone through this and they've managed to overcome, or someone was struggling with this sin and they overcame that sin. And if someone else can do it, then you can do it too. And the other thing is that when we share stories, you feel comfortable with someone. So, like, let's say you, Lindo, had a big sin that you were struggling with, and I also have it. When you tell me your story, I'm willing to be vulnerable with you and tell you that, hey,
Mm.
man, I'm struggling with this thing. I saw you overcame it. How can I do it? But when you choose not to tell me your story, I might feel like you'll judge me. You know, I might feel uncomfortable to talk to you. So story really, it melts the ice and connects people so much.
Mm. 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 Wow, that is so deep. And as you were saying that, immediately, like, I was like, whoa, stories are there to connect us as people. What you were saying, and you just said it now, that stories connect us. We are able to relate to each other in a better way.
Mhm.
And I think when you look at the Bible, man, what a beautifully written story. What a story. Everything,
Um,
like,
um,
God is just so amazing.
yes,
Um,
he's good.
but the whole story of the Bible, is just so amazing that you are able to kind of like put yourself in the character's shoes, and
Mm,
God is able to just speak to you in such a powerful way. And I guess
mm,
that's why God used this medium of storytelling to be able to reach us, and talk to
yeah,
us. Even Christ, majority of the time when he was preaching, he was telling
told his
stories.
stories.
So
Mm,
there's just something amazing about telling stories, and I guess that we should do more of that. People often talk about,
mm,
like, we should have like our own Bible, in terms of like with our own experiences.
yes,
That
yes,
CJ,
yes.
this was what CJ went through, and all that, for future generations and things like that. And perhaps
Mm,
in a physical sense, we that might never happen, but through like conversations like these, and
yeah.
through other forms, I think that we can share those stories, which can help
Mm,
others as well, as we get guidance and help when we
mm.
are actually reading the Bible and
Because
everything.
when you say that, like, think of yourself, right? There's been things in your life that have happened and you don't really understand why it happened in a sense. But then when you go into a book and, like, you go chapters deep into a story, the character development has happened, and you can trace back exactly to where, like, maybe a big issue started. Like, the perfect example for me is, like, something that I only realized now when reading Genesis again. Um, like the story of Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. That Ishmael, well, Hagar and Ishmael became this thorn in Abraham's side, and it's only because Abraham wasn't entirely faithful to God. God led
Mm,
Abraham into his own promised land, and in that, Abraham should have been, comfortable and faithful to God, to say, God will provide me even though there's a famine. But then Abraham was like, I'll make a plan and I will take care of myself, so I'll go to Egypt. But in
mm,
trying to take care of himself is where he brought about a problem, because that's where Sarah finds Hagar. And that problem that he tried to solve for himself brought a bigger problem later in his life. And I think in Abraham's life, maybe when Hagar came about, he didn't even realize this. But now it's a lesson for us because that story has been recorded. So, like you're saying,
mm,
when if only we could record our own stories to share with someone else. Not even that. If only we could record our own stories right now to read back. Because I would love to
mm.
know what I did wrong
Yeah,
today and learn from that. Because, yeah, there's
yeah,
so many lessons I need to take from each day. But you get so bombarded by things around you that you hardly have any time to sit down and just think.
Mm, mm. Wow, that is beautiful. That is amazing. And yeah, that is just so true. When you look at our African culture, that's what they did, told stories, and we held on to those stories. You know, generation to generation. That's how we're able
Yeah,
to preserve our history and our identity and everything. So, I mean, storytelling is quite an important thing.
yeah,
And it also like it helps as well when you like look back at what God has done for you, and things like that. When you are able to record all of that, and then
mm,
you look back, and you're like, "Wow, this is how much God has been with me." So, yeah, I think we should tell more stories, record more
yeah,
stories. And speaking
yeah.
of which is why you're here. There is a story that you want to tell, and maybe let me play this again. Um, let me play this again so that I want to for you to talk about this as we enter into this next segment of our conversation. I played it uh in the beginning of the show, but not people weren't watching, so I can play it again, freely, and maybe I'll
I
just
don't
play the first
mind.
part of it. All right, so please stay tuned and listen to this. We're going to be talking about this with CJ.
At the Youth for 12 anniversary program, which was in the last year, I had possibly top three experiences when it comes to music. We had our MC, and he was like, you know what, we're going to try something. And in the crowd, probably over 200 of us, and we had never practiced. A lot of us were strangers meeting together for the first time. But I truly felt like that day I felt the Spirit moving. I'm usually very skeptical when people say I felt the Spirit moving, but I felt it that day. So Zianda's in the front, and he basically says to us, we're going to sing Holy, Holy, Holy. And so he starts, and we all follow. And to get 200 essentially strangers to sing in harmony like that, that's when I really saw that when you do things to the glory of God, He will finish off. You basically just start and He will finish off the work, because all of us knew our parts. We knew where we had to sing. I'm not a singer, but I knew where I needed to sing. I knew the notes that I needed to catch on. And then we finished singing, the song stopped, and then for probably 5 to 10 minutes, there was just silence. No one said a thing, because I think it really tuned our minds to God. It tuned our minds to heaven. And I think a lot of us just thought to ourselves, is this what heaven will be like? And see, that is just one memory that someone has when it comes to music. There are plenty other stories about music out there. At the Youth for 12 anniversary program, which was in the last.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Um, what do you have to say about that? That was so deep.
Man,
That was so moving.
man, that's I think, and it's like a very difficult choice, but that Sabbath was probably my favorite Sabbath of all of last year. I just come back from a very difficult time um, in Zim. Came back, and I guess I was doing church tours with my sister and a few friends. And then this Sabbath, that very moment, I'll never forget. I'll never forget singing that song, because you could literally feel everyone. Like you can feel that everyone is in the moment. Everyone is listening to themselves while they're singing.
Yeah.
There was a time where I just went quiet. I stopped singing because I was just looking all around me. Um, I was hearing all the different voices. There was a very lovely soprano near me as well, and I was like, "Yo, people are gifted," you know. So for this project, hint hint, that we're working on, I was like, this story definitely needs to be shared, because we, like, the connection in that moment was was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I have to thank you for 12 for making that very moment possible for us.
Honestly, you know, I don't know what to say right now. Like when you're speaking, that was just so moving because I remember I wasn't in the room at that time, actually for most of the program until the afternoon. But I walked past and I heard as I was walking
Yeah,
past, I was like,
it was
what is
mind
going
blowing.
on here? It was like angels, it was as
Yeah.
if angels were singing,
Mhm.
and I was like, what is going on? Even when I watched the videos, I could not believe it. You said something about like that the spirit was moving,
Yeah.
and indeed, I've never experienced something like that. Even when I like rewatch the video, I just can't believe that something
Mm.
so beautiful, so divine just happened. I guess
Mm.
it just goes to show the power of music, that it just hits you in a way that not even a sermon, I'm sorry to say if anyone
Mm.
is offended, like can just touch you, and
Yeah.
and perhaps this is a good segue to for me to ask about this project that you've been working on
Yeah.
for months now, and it has something
Yeah.
to do with music. We're talking about storytelling as well. So
Mm.
there's music and then there's storytelling, both of these components. And I just want you to just tell us about this project and how those two things that we've just spoken about just link up.
Mm. So I believe that music is probably one of the most effective forms of storytelling. Like you're saying right now, that music can touch you in ways that a sermon words can't touch you, you know. I've I've realized that music is one of those things that was just there at our creation. You know, music was already there in heaven before humanity was made. Music was with like the highest ranking angel, just showing just how much music means to God. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that was big into music. My mother has been a chorister for as long as I can remember. My sister has a lovely voice. I did not have a voice. I don't know why. I really, yeah, music singing wasn't my thing. But I think it's because I never really tried to sing. But lately, I've really been putting in effort. I've been putting aside the fact that I'm not a great singer, and I've become much better because, I mean, just I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, my mother and my sister went at church, and I had to lead song service, and I have to say I held my own,
Whoa.
you know. So
Okay, come on now.
music, music has really become such a big part of my life over time. And with this idea of storytelling on one hand, and then there being music, I thought I'd like to share musician stories. So, Humans of Adventism has been a platform to share individual stories. But then I was thinking to myself, I have a camera. Why not be ambitious? And rather than sharing one story, share a bunch of different musician stories. So I literally just threw caution to the wind and approached a bunch of groups and said, guys, I'm working on a documentary. Would you like to be a part of this? These are the questions. We're trying to tell your story, essentially. Would you like to be a part of this? And lo and behold, seven, well, four groups and three individuals, four individuals actually, said they're willing to share their story. And for the last over 6 months, we've been filming the Rising Voices documentary, and we've recorded amazing stories. Like I can't express just how beautiful the stories are, and it has really showed me that story really matters. story really matters because it really connects you to people. So we are nearing the end of this project. We're nearing the premiere, and yeah, there's something for you to see.
The premiere is next week.
Oh,
Next week, Saturday, 10th Feb. That is excited. I'm very excited about that. And you will tell us a bit about the event itself. Um, but I just want to know from you that what have you learned, throughout this journey and experience while listening to these particular stories of musicians and yeah.
um, I think my biggest lesson. I've definitely had a lot of lessons from the people I've spoken to, but I think the lesson that stands out the most to me is that when you do things for God, He recognizes your effort, and then He says, "Thank you, my child. I'll take it from here." Because Lindor, from how we started to what we have now, I would have never imagined that it would be like this. We recorded with Favored. Yeah, Favored was the no, yeah, Favored was the first interviews that I actually had, and we just went there with our cameras. We had a lighting setup because I was working with people who had the equipment. They were more than willing to work with me, and we didn't have microphones, so audio wasn't the greatest. Then 2 days later, I get actual lapel microphones, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we can get professional quality audio now. And then a few people saw the project and they're like, oh, we'd like to help out. And then now the ball really went rolling. We got to filming, putting the story together. One of the nicest things I've noticed is that when I make videos for YouTube, they're usually around 10 minutes. And when I export my stuff, it usually takes about 40 minutes to export like a 10-minute video because my system it's not the great. It handles its own, but it could be better. When I tell you that exporting the footage for this documentary, a 15-minute video took me 10 minutes. My stuff would take 40 minutes, but for this documentary, it only took 10 minutes. And then for me, it was just like, okay, God is providing me with more RAM and more power for the computer, apparently. And now, when I showed people the trailer, now there's a whole bunch of people, especially at church, who are like, listen, you need any help, let us know. We'll buy this for you. We'll bring this for you. And God has really pulled through. And for me, the standout verse for this entire project has been, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. That's the entire motto for this project.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. I really, I really love what you said that if you do things for God, God will take over, and I think He wants to see us take the leap of faith, take the first step, and then He will just open the way and everything. And I would just encourage anyone else, to be honest, you are really, really, really ambitious. Like I know only a few people who are as ambitious, and no one comes to mind right now. Particularly like in ministry work, I haven't met anyone like personally who is as ambitious as you are. When you were talking about this whole documentary and stuff, I was like, whoa, this is huge. This is really, really like big, and I'm a big dreamer and everything, but I was like, whoa, man, this is something else. And to watch everything just fall into place, the pieces getting together, it just shows that when you are ambitious for God,
Mm.
man, He will do the things. He will do
Ambition,
the things.
ambition can easily be something that gets misplaced, but when it's ambition for God, it will never be misplaced. It's in the right place.
Yeah, it's in the right place. It's in the right place. And speaking of ambition, I mean, this was a big project. As I said, there are multiple groups involved, multiple musicians involved, lots of logistics involved. So tell
Oh.
us about some of the challenges that you faced up until this point, the documentary itself, and also you've got an event, a premiere event, which
Mm.
is also crazy on its own. So all of these things, man, just what were some of the challenges that you faced throughout this journey?
Um, in the beginning, equipment was the first challenge. Um, I think one of the main driving points for this program or the documentary actually happening was that I upgraded my camera this year, and it opened up the opportunity for me to actually record video, which is something I'd wanted to do for a long time. But I became a bit too ambitious, even with the camera that I have, because it was just one camera, and yet I'm telling myself I want to shoot multiple angles. So I'm like, we are going to do this somehow. So I don't even know where I met Sizwe Lutuli, the Uplifted Savior Ministry. He runs that channel. And I reach out and I say I'm working on a documentary. And he says, okay, I'll help out. There's the second camera. So now the challenge for equipment sorted. Next was the challenge for the filming. And when I tell you this was one of the most stressful things, trying to organize filming dates with everyone, because especially for the groups, it's the hardest thing to do because they're all leading their own different lives, and it's hard for them to meet up for practice sometimes, or things just aren't working out. And I think we had first planned to film with a lot of people in like October or November last year. But when I tell you, we pretty much only recorded with like everyone in January this year because we really could not meet up with people. And the other thing was, towards the end of last year was such a chaotic time at home with a bunch of funerals, just a mess. So for a while, I had put the entire project aside, and I realized that if I take on too much, I will fall apart. So eventually, I was sitting in bed one night and I was thinking that I've told people about this project and I really want it to happen, but it's a standstill right now. My life has so many problems. It's hard to meet up with the groups, but I really want this thing to happen. Went to bed at like 11 p.m. I could not sleep until like 4 a.m. I was just sitting in bed. And that night I remember journaling saying, this has become too much for me. I couldn't do this anymore. The next morning, like two or three members of the cast said we're available to film. And from there, it's literally just steamrolled. And that's how we are where we are today. After that night where I surrendered, you know, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Lord, I want it to happen. And if you want it to happen, you will make it happen, but I can't. I can't keep on organizing and things go wrong, you know? So, Lord, the ball is in your court. Hey, and he showed up, man. He really showed up because we're done with filming now. Everything we had originally planned for is actually done. And it's only because we left it in God's hands.
That's all I've got to say, man. That is amazing. The fact that you didn't give up. You're so determined. Because I mean, challenges will always be there,
Yeah.
and I mean, you do get to a point whereby you just don't want anything, and for you not to give up, even at that stage, I think God just saw and He just did His thing. I guess it
Yeah.
goes back to trusting in Him and leaving things in His hands.
Yeah.
So big ups for that, and I'm honestly very excited about this. I think I think this is the first of its kind here in KZN. I just, I mean, I'm not very, very old, so my memory is very limited. But from what I know and remember this is the first of its kind, like a documentary about musicians in KZN. So, how do you feel about, being part of history, or making history, opening the pathway
Mm,
for others? How do you feel about that, and what do you hope comes out of this
mm.
entire documentary and experience?
I am honored, and I'm proud of myself for actually willing to take that risk. Pride in the humblest sense. And at first, it could have been very intimidating, but then I realized that I get to set the precedent. I get to set the standard, and the standard will only be as good as I want it to be right now. We really put our all into this, and when we eventually try to take on another project, we'll look back at this one and say, okay, we just need to do better than that one. And the thing is, it's not just for us. We hope that after this project, a bunch of other creators, a bunch of other filmmakers within the church who see this and say, let's take on projects. Let's also try such things. And they can look at this and say, let's just do it. Let's do it for God, because that's all that matters. The equipment, how it will sound, how it will look, doesn't really matter. All we need to do is share God's message, and that was our thing for this. So I'm very honored to have mm, led a genesis, I guess, and hopefully we'll carry on. A bunch of other creators just start popping up out of nowhere, and we get to make this a thing in the church. Sound, your sound.
Oh man, I'm sorry about that. And I was like on a roll. Anyways, our deepest fear by Marianne Williamson. There's a part which says, "As you let your light shine, it unconsciously
Mm,
gives others the permission to do the same." And
mm,
so when you start this thing, when you do this, others almost get the permission that I can do this too. I can do
yeah,
this
yeah,
for God. And sometimes it just needs someone to start, someone
yeah.
to be the trailblazer, and all that. And I'm so glad that you took the initiative, because here's something which is interesting. It's very hard to be the first to do something,
Bro.
because you have little reference point. There's so
Mm,
many fears around it, uncertainty and things like that. But once you do it, the people behind you will be like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. They'll now have reference, from you.
mm,
They can learn from you. They can even ask you, because you've allowed yourself to be the one who paves the way. And we're so grateful and thankful to you and to God for using you for this great work. So tell us about the event itself, the premiere. I mean, come on, this is the first as well. This is the first
yeah.
of its kind, a premiere event here in KZN. Tell us
Yes,
all
sir.
about that. It sounds so fancy.
Oh,
Just
it
just
is.
tell us about that.
So
Tell us about it. Yeah.
on the 10th of February at the Bluff SDA Church in Bluff, Durban, we will be holding the Rising Voices documentary premiere, a red carpet event. Our dress code is a red carpet after God's own heart. There are tickets for sale, and we will have a live a live session of music, which is essentially our gift as the crew to everyone who is coming to watch the premiere. We get a chance to just interact, and there'll also be photographers, capturing the event itself. Then, so the music will be at 4:30. Then the premiere itself will happen at 7, and then there'll be a few snacks sold. So it's a full on event. We wanted to carry on this trend of being ambitious and doing things, taking joy back from the world, taking fun back from the devil and bringing it into God's house, if that makes sense. Because when you think of like a premiere or an event like this, you might just think the Oscars, the Grammys, Met Gala, things like that. And you're not going to be talking about God there, let's be honest. But now we've recorded, we have singers in the church, we have filmmakers in the church, so we will have our own red carpet event. We are trying our best to make it as good as possible for everyone. And again, the nice thing is it's the first one, so we set the bar. Whatever we can achieve, we get to do better next time, and we get to do our best with whatever we have right now. So yeah, 10th of February, buy your tickets. Tickets are only 50 Rand. It would be best that you buy tickets before Saturday the 10th, because we would rather avoid holding or working with the ticket money on the day. Then the ticket is for the premiere. Okay. You are buying a ticket for the premiere that will happen after Sabbath, after sunset at 7. But through that ticket, as a token of gratitude, we will also have the live singing, which will start at 4:30. Right? Um, Again, this will be recorded. After the live singing is done, then we will have just a little break. Go out, take pictures, socialize. Then we'll have snacks on sale. Maybe a little combo, a little popcorn, a little drink, just something small that you can purchase just to elevate the experience, make you feel like you're at the cinemas. Then we will get to file back in, take our seats. Then hopefully at 7 o'clock, the premiere itself starts, and you get to watch my love child, the project after my own heart.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, can't wait, particularly for the red
Yeah.
carpet after God's own heart. I don't know, should I bring a partner? Are we allowed to bring
Man,
partners?
yeah. Bring through as many people as you want. Bring them through, man. The more the merrier. And hey man,
All
if
right.
this is the time for you to bring through your plus ones and try to work your magic, the floor is yours.
All right, guys. So you heard from by you heard it from the horse's mouth. If you have a plus one, you can bring a plus one. Buy your tickets and show that you come, walk the red carpet. But most importantly, it's a time to just enjoy this experience, celebrate this milestone. It's the first of its kind, and we have to be part of this history so
Mhm.
that in the future these type of programs and things continue to go on. So yeah, thank you very much,
Definitely.
CJ, for coming through to Youth for Tough Life once again. Honestly, when you're here, it's always a great conversation. I just wish it could last for a long time. But I truly really appreciate the time that you spent with us today. So thank you for coming through to the
No,
show.
thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see you on the 10th of February for the premiere.
See
All the
you
best
all.
with that. All right. That was CJ Moyo of Humans of Adventism, working on this amazing project, Rising Voices. Make sure that you do buy your tickets as soon as possible. See, you're telling me that tickets are flying, so make sure that you buy your tickets to watch the premiere. There's also some live music that will go on there, red carpet. This is the first of its kind, guys. You don't want to miss this. Please do support. I urge you. Um, I forgot to tell CJ this, but I'm really so inspired by him and the great work that he does. I think it's something so amazing. His ambition, his his resilience, and his work in itself. Everything is just such an inspiration. And I just pray that there will be more CJs that we'll see in KZN in the Adventist community and in the Christian community as a whole, so that we can have such amazing projects and programs in the future. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching this. Make sure that you do hit us up on Threads. Tell us what you thought about the episode and things like that. We are on Threads at youthphotof_ZA. If you have any questions, if you've got anything that you like to inquire about, do make sure that you do that. Any one of our social media channels, they're written down here below, and make sure that you catch us next time, same time, on Youth 412 Live. I love you guys all. See you at the premiere. It's actually the first event of the year that I'll be attending, so it definitely is gonna be a good one. So make sure that I see you there. Good night and God bless.
I can't imagine a life without music.
So at that stage, when I heard that song, that was a message I needed.
I believe all the songs that we sing, they're God-given. So yeah.
I think the type of music that you listen to has so much influence on like your energy and how you feel.
Music in general, I feel like with young people especially, it's one thing that we can all relate to.
The one thing that made me feel alive, that made me feel like I mattered, was taken away from me.
And every song has a background or has a story to tell.
And for the last few years, I've become very intrigued around this somewhat simple concept of music, but more so how music connects us to God.
If I were to encourage anybody who is also nervous to do anything, I would say have a righteous confidence.
We should sing praises to the Lord and give Him glory and honor with song, with ensembles, with hymns, and everything that we can.